Welcome back, everyone. New World Fantasy Football, episode 25, man. Feels like we started this just yesterday, Paul.
Does it? It feels like we've been doing this a while. I think both things feel like they can be true.
It
But
does,
25 is a bunch of episodes, all seriousness. A quarter of a century. That's crazy. And we ain't stopping anytime. So that's cool, man. 2-5.
Yeah, man. Before you know it, we'll be in the triple digits. So, dude, hit me with your vibe check, man. How's fantasy going for you after week 6?
Fantasy's good. Fantasy is good for the most part. Obviously, I've got kind of like 3 different leagues and different seasons of those leagues, but for the most part, I feel like I'm pretty much in it in all the leagues. So I'm feeling pretty decent on that. Crazy week at work, so the work vibes are hectic, to say the least. And we don't have time to get into the full story, but my week started off with a over aggro slow pitch softball player injuring one of my teammates because he wanted to be a stupid hardo. So mixed vibes, I would say. Mixed vibes, good and bad.
Yeah, that's life. My fantasy vibes are also mixed. I have one team that's 4-2. A little bit weak this week. I don't feel too great about it, but overall, I can't be too mad at 4-2. And then I have another one, our main league, where I'm 1-5. It's been a rough season. I lost by less than a point, pretty much on the spot. As I send the gif of me of Al Bundy tying up his noose to kill himself, is when Keenan Allen gets the catch that destroys me. So yeah, that was another painful Monday night ending for me. But if there is anything I can take solace in, it's that at least it didn't happen with 2 minutes in the game. It happened with like 9 minutes in the game. So can't be too upset. But and then I have my measurable.
You cannot catch one this year, bro.
Not in that league, man. Not in that league. It's been rough, but I'm always gonna battle. You know that. I don't quit. If anything, I'll play spoiler. But
there you go.
And then my Megalo Bowl team, it took some pretty big hits. I have Christian McCaffrey and David Montgomery. And I have Trevor Lawrence, who's might be hobbled on a Thursday night. I'm thinking he's gonna play. Do I even want to start him though? That's the question. On a Thursday night against a good defense with a messed up knee, oof, it stacks against wanting to start Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. We'll get into all that obviously as the season or the episode goes on. But a little rough on that front. But I do have a subject I'd like to talk about just very briefly. If you would appease me. I want to talk about one miss, and I'm going to find her name here. She's been very popular. A Merianne Do or Do. I don't know how to say her last name. She was the Chargers girl, Chargers woman.
Chargers girl. Yeah.
Chargers woman. Yeah. So I'm going to just state my opinion very bluntly and quickly here. 2 words for you. Who cares? Like, was she an NFL plant? Okay, just that I say who cares? Like, is she a major fan? Who cares? Is she a crackhead? Who cares? I don't care. And the NFL makes all of us their freaking puppets. Like, here's the ball on a string. Look over here, look over here, look over here, look over here. It's retarded. Okay, I'm sorry to use that word. That's not the best word to be using out here, but it's really silly that we're so easily controlled, and then everyone on old Twatter X gets into like, if it's like they would be pulling out their Colt 45s if they were next to each other fighting over their opinion. Can we just calm down, just enjoy football, and not care so much about this randomness? Doesn't matter.
I've been off Twitter since Seattle, and it actually feels great. I deleted it because I wanted to, I had like a disconnect goal getting out there. I was getting pretty scroll happy on the old X, but I haven't seen the debates back and forth. I have heard people talking about it. I have heard people say, like you said, NFL plant, or like, what is her, like, is she a Minnesota fan? Is she a Chargers fan? Dude, honestly, it's been known for a long time that the Chargers don't have real fans. Like, it's like the meme of that girl on the plane. This motherfucker's not real. Like, I don't think she is real, but I don't think it's honestly that uncommon for, like, teams to, like maybe fluff up a bad home crowd. When you move two NFL teams into a bad NFL town, this is what happens.
LA, yeah, LA is a very transplant city. Number one, and Cowboys fans travel like a mofo. They don't even have to travel; they just have
they're
fans
just there.
everywhere. So, yeah, I'm sure that they were outmanned in terms of fans in the stands, but like, I just don't care. Like, I care about the football, and I'm sick of seeing every game not every game, but there's videos of so many games of big brawls and people getting hurt, a guy getting killed earlier in the season, a dad that just bringing his son to a game. Like, can we just stop like attaching ourselves to these people who are playing a gladiator sport, pretending we're gladiators too, that we need to why I don't know. It's a more overarching, deeper subject than football, but gosh, it just people will literally fight about everything. It is we're currently engaged in a multi-year battle about whether the earth is flat or not. Like, and people go nuts over it. Why do you have to fight about everything? Okay, respect your opinion, move on.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've kind of noticed is that when you're not on social media and you just talk to your neighbors and your friends, you find out that nobody really interacts like that in real life. It really only happens online.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, when you said you getting off Twitter and all that, I agree. I have been anti-social media person for a long time. I really just have it for the football purposes. But the people fighting in the stands, that's real.
That is real. And that's just a whole lot of alcohol, a lot of idiots, a lot of old ex high school football player hardos, and some bad decisions, and people get hurt. It's not great.
Sucks, man. Sucks. But hey, it's time to get into some football, man. So let's
I agree, man. I can see when your team is 1-5, your mind goes to a dark place. This is not good.
Yeah, man. Who's wouldn't? I mean,
quickly, I did want to actually review how we did on our preview picks last week. I'm just going to burn through them really fast. Spoiler alert, we exactly tied.
Okay.
But I have them here. I figure if we're picking games anyway, we might as well keep each other honest.
Yeah,
and
agree.
go through it. So both picked KC, Baltimore. We were both wrong in San Fran, Cleveland. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So was everybody else. We were both wrong. It was in the Atlanta game. We both had Miami, both had Minnesota. You got me on my homer pick of Indy over Jacks, so you won that one. Wrong on New Orleans, right on Cincy. I was right on Vegas versus New England. That was one for me. And then we were both wrong in the Jersey-Philly game, obviously. And then you got me Detroit over Tampa Bay. I got you Rams over Zona. Same on Buffalo. Same on Dallas. So all of that to a net neutral. Let's try to get some separation here.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Cool, man. And we'll pick these games as we go. So then you wanted to talk about something, I guess, like kind of risers and fallers the rest of the season.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun to do a little quick exercise and pick some names of players that are going to rise, fall, and roll, right?
Okay.
Is someone going to, excuse me, someone that's maybe underperforming now that is going to rise up, someone that's overperforming that's going to fall, somebody that's just performing that's just going to keep the party rolling, right? So I have a few names to choose from on my end. Since I'm opening this thing up, I will let you choose the first name. I have a few pivots if we happen to have the same people. We have not talked about this already, so this is all on you. I will let you start us off, my friend. Who's going to rise?
All right. So I think someone who's going to rise is going to actually be, believe it or not, Tony Pollard.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think he's been kind of like underwhelming from the expectations.
He's been fine, but not blowing up.
Yeah, and I think that he's still getting plenty of snaps. He's really talented. I mean, he was like, not quite shoestring, but like a jersey pulled tackle away from having a 70-yard touchdown reception. He also was like a very close to a real like a catch in the end zone, not just like a little scamper, but I mean, whatever, who cares? They all count the same, no matter if it's air yards or not. But he had one that was a pass from Dak that was a deep pass that he almost caught, and he's so close to having huge games, and it just hasn't worked out for him. So I think there are huge games on the horizon for Tony P.
Yeah, well, I like that. And that's not going to be a huge difference, right? Because he's been okay, but you're saying he's going to return what you drafted him for and become that guy. But I completely agree. The O-line is there. The opportunities are there. The talent is there. Dak is not going to want, or they're not going to want him to throw the ball very much. So yeah, I'm with you on that. And there's nobody really to threaten him back there. My riser, I had a few to choose from here, but I'm actually going to latch onto this one. Jahmyr Gibbs. It has been an absolute bum fest for the entire early part of the season. If you were a Jahmyr Gibbs truther like me, I'm asking that you keep the faith. It's not just because Monty is out. He's going to come back at some point. Of course, we kind of knew that Monty was going to get some of the early work, and there's always going to be that hammer back in the Detroit system. But I'm going to trust in the draft capital. I'm going to trust in the talent. When he's been out there, it's not like he's looked terrible or looked like completely lost as a rookie. He's going to work himself back from this hammy over the next couple weeks. But if you have an opportunity to go to a frustrated Jahmyr Gibbs owner and buy him, now is the time. He's going to get his opportunity to shine outside of Monty soon. And I think he is going to take it. I think he's going to take work from him.
Okay. Cool. That's a good one. That makes sense. And I didn't end up with any Jahmyr Gibbs, and I wanted him badly. Zoom out as fantasy players. Just regular football fans and maybe of a team, we have a tendency to be so emotionally invested that we forget to zoom out. He's in week 7, going into week 7 of his rookie season. Like, chill out. They're going to be using him, and even if it's not as awesome as you would hope it would have gotten, even if it doesn't happen this season, don't just give up on him. Like, that means next year, like, let's just say it stays status quo. Next year, he's a 4th, 5th round pick that's going to return 2nd round value kind of deal,
And
cool. Good one.
And yeah, absolutely. I'm completely like predicting that, and I just want to put some context to it. Of course, like, he might say, like, okay, Paul, he's been trash all year. If he's better than trash, then you're right. But I'm telling you, Chicago, Green Bay, New Orleans, Chicago, Denver, he's going to give you RB1 weeks in your big playoff push. And is going to be an RB1 down that stretch. So strap in and get ready.
Okay, cool. So then you want to talk about kind of somebody who you feel is going to fall?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So why don't you start? Do you want me to start with that one? Or do you want to start with that one?
I'll start. I'll start here. And this one, I'm going to take the layup. You're probably, going to see what I'm talking about. It's Puka.
Okay.
Puka Mania is dead, and
I think
Go
I
ahead.
think that's an important one to talk about though, because the people who picked up Puka are very emotionally attached to him now.
Oh yeah,
So,
because he was amazing when you grabbed him. I mean, he was basically Cooper Cup light that you grabbed off of the waiver wires, for whatever money you paid for him. And we've talked about this before. It's not like he's going away completely. He's still playing plenty of snaps, but last week and this week, we've seen that the air yards per target are down. Obviously, the targets are completely getting vacuumed in by Cooper Kupp as we're used to. Traditionally, the wide receiver 2 next to Kupp is not where you want to be in fantasy, honestly. So I think Puka is a usable fantasy player, but we have to understand that the sheriff's back in town and Puka's back to being a flex consideration for the rest of the season, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can just see the Giancarlo Esposito memes now. Yeah, you picked him up off the waiver wire. I drafted him in the last round. We are not the same. Which is not true. I did not draft Puka anywhere.
I was gonna say if anybody says that, they're a liar. But that's awesome.
It'd be nice to add inches to my dick with that, but unfortunately, I cannot do that. And yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And low hanging fruit or not, you bring up a good point. And he was a dropped end zone pass away from you, people not being quite as worried about him. But it's pretty obvious. Kupp is the number 1 alpha there, and he's healthy. That's it. I don't know. This one might actually surprise you, but that's why I wrote down a few stats to back up my argument here. My sell is actually going to be one Brian Robinson, and I will tell you why. He's actually getting roughly, I didn't do the full math, but roughly half the snaps on offense. Not exactly what you want. He had one game that was really explosive, and it was week 2. Do you remember who they played? Commanders played, or can you guess?
I'm gonna guess it was the Bears.
Close, another B, but it was the Broncos. So the Broncos have proven to be one of the worst defenses in the league, even outside of that Miami game where they got completely destroyed. But they've been dismantled by running games all season. So we didn't know that exactly in week 2. Now it's like, you look back with 2020 hindsight, and Captain Hindsight's like, see, this is what happens against the Broncos. Not only that, like, he's only getting, I did the math in the last 4 games. We'll go ahead and round up here because it was a percentage or a decimal, I should say. But roughly 12 touches a game the last 4 weeks. So I think you can kind of still sell high from these very early returns that people remember coveting, wishing they had drafted Brian Robinson.
And the perception of Brian Robinson,
which
is high volume and being actually good on his touches. But I'm looking at it now, Andrew, and I'm seeing what you're seeing. Like the selling point for Brian Robinson was always, hey, he's got all the volume, he's got the backfield to himself, but these snap percentages and usage is really concerning.
Absolutely. It'd be somebody you're relying on. I wouldn't. I would try to see if you can swap him for somebody. Maybe you got a guy who's like sitting on a player who's on bye, maybe a running back who's on bye that needs a win. You can sell that the Giants are a good matchup, which they are, for Brian Robinson. what teams are on bye this week? I know the Jets. I don't think you're going to get Brees Hall, straight up for a Brian Robinson or anything like
I
that.
say sell him after the Giants game.
That's the way you could do it too.
Probably have a pretty decent week, and
he's a good bet to score a touchdown this week, I would say. That would be the full trigger. But that's enough about Brian Robinson. I've made my case.
Yeah, I agree. I really haven't had any shares of B Rob, and
Me either.
it's so funny because I did have that take lock perception that it's like, yeah, his efficiency's whatever, it's Washington, but he's getting everything and he's a good running back and he'll fall into the end zone. But yeah, he's not a full-time player.
It's the red zone bump because he has scored touchdowns. So people see it on red zone and they're like, oh my God, Brian Robinson. But like, it's not as good as you might perceive right now.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, Washington is sadness because they are basically Kansas City without Patrick Mahomes. And Kansas City without Patrick Mahomes is a carousel of sadness.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so I'll do my hold player here, my steady player that I'm going to say this is more of like don't trade him for anything less than a lot because I think his value is only on the way up. I've actually personally gotten multiple trade offers for this player, and I'm not just picking players on my team. I have no Tony Pollard. I have no Brian Robinson. This player I do have on one of my teams, and that's going to go ahead and be Mr. Jalen Waddle. He hasn't been fantastic. He got hurt. I want to say it was week 2. He got hurt, missed a game. Every time you look at the screen in Miami, it's either Raheem Mostert running in a touchdown, Devon Achane when he was healthy for those couple games, or of course, Tyreek catching a bomb for a touchdown. Waddle's still a valuable player on an explosive offense. They're going to be explosive all year. He's going to have some big games, and you're not going to have wanted to just traded him away when he gets that 25, 30-point game for you.
I like it. And I agree. I mean, you have to just hold on to pieces of that offense. Like I had Raheem the Dream as a honorable mention here for me. His touchdown rate is unsustainable, and his, everything, the carries, all of it, like Miami's who they've played, all of that is just not sustainable, but there's nothing to be done with it. You keep riding the wave until the wheels fall. Now, the way that I looked at Roll was not necessarily a player to just kind of hold on to the storm because there is no storm with this player, but a player that I just think is going to be can't stop, won't stop. And for me, I got to shout out my boy Steph Diggs. Yes, he's been awesome to start the season. Fantasy players have a tendency to go up and down, but I don't think it's going to happen for him. His quarterback is still good. His around him, the rest of the receivers are just mid. So he's just going to keep rolling and doing what he's doing.
Yeah, we were watching. I was watching the first half of the Giants and Bills game on Sunday night, and was hanging out with my wife, and she was like, God, Stephon Diggs just never stops. And I was like, the relationship of Josh Allen is to Stephon Diggs as Mahomes is to Kelsey. He is the number 1 by a mile, and he's just going to keep peppering him with targets because everybody else there isn't super reliable. Like Gabe has been more reliable this year, but the trust is not the same as it is with somebody like Steph Diggs. So absolutely, man. I mean, if you're going to get like at least 12 targets every game and you're Steph Diggs and it's Josh Allen targets where there's going to be bombs involved and Steph Diggs is getting good at getting separation and catching those deep bombs. Like, yeah, man, it's a surprise if he doesn't get to 100 yards on a game.
Only Tyreek Hill has a higher wide receiver consistency ranking than Steph Diggs.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Just off the eye test, you can tell that. All right, man. So those are all good picks. You ready to start getting into these week 7 games?
I think so, my friend. We don't have a morning game this week, but
Thank
we
God.
do have a Thursday night game. Once again, as always, those of you in the future, this is not a preview for you, but potentially either a spicy take or an icy take.
Yep.
So you all decide. But obviously, Jags at NOLA. NOLA is 3-point home favorites with yet another gross over-under, because that's just how NOLA does it. They do it down and dirty.
And on Thursday night?
And on a Thursday night, 39 over-under. Jacksonville, the usual suspects are in. Etienne. Kirk has been much more consistent than Calvin Ridley, but obviously you got to get Ridley in there for the volatility and the potential that he has. But proceed with caution, because Ridley has 2 wide 1 finishes through 6 weeks, and he has 3 duds this year. So I would put him in the category of can start and not must start. That's how I feel about Calvin Ridley. If you don't have better options, then obviously he's still a very talented player on a potentially explosive offense. I don't know if T-Law is a start in this tough matchup on his knee, Andrew. That's really my question here.
I'm 100% with you, man. I have the Megalo Bowl. Like I have Trevor Lawrence in the Megalo Bowl that I'm participating in, and they have a different waiver system than we do. Theirs is like Wednesday at noon, and then right after those waivers go, it's the next day is another round of waivers. It doesn't just go straight to free agency. Yeah, so I actually, with the second wave, I have a claim right now to pick up Sam Howell, because I do not feel great about starting him on a bum knee on a Thursday night against a good defense. Away.
Yeah, it's the classic double whammy.
Yeah.
If it was just the knee or just the matchup, I think you might be okay, but it's both. And so it's bad vibes. Probably bad vibes for the receivers too.
Absolutely. I just traded for Calvin Ridley. I'll be starting him and hoping for a touchdown, but I don't feel amazing about it. So just have a rough week between Justin Jefferson being hurt and some bye weeks and blah, blah, blah. So yeah.
It's a can start.
Can start. ETN, obviously, he's been too good. You kind of have to start ETN right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's one of those guys. He's gonna make his money on one play. That's kind of what he's been doing. Sometimes even 2 or 3 plays.
Yeah.
So you just gotta kind of trust the process there. NOLA offense has been pretty easy for us to call. AK is an auto start because he's this year's. And I'm not disrespecting Kamara here, because he's always been a more talented player, and even in his older years is still way better. But he's kind of this year's rookie Najee Harris. His fantasy value is blown up by just a ton of noodle arm running back targets. Derek Carr loves doing that. I wonder if that's kind of like what Josh Jacobs is missing this year versus last year, but that's a separate conversation. You have to give Olave the shot. You're not really feeling great about their offense and Derek Carr's ability to hit the deep shot, but he's got to get in there. I doubt you have better options. MT, as always, is fine for PPR until his knee explodes.
His ankles,
excuse me. Whatever it is, his nagging injuries. I guess the only question that I really have before we move on from Thursday Sadness football, can we still hope for upside in the New Orleans passing offense? They've got a stretch of favorable matchups coming up. I'm asking selfishly as an Olave owner, but also there's people out there that are probably willing to move Olave for the right price, right? So just trying to figure out if there's room for optimism here.
Yeah, there definitely is. If you ask me, I think Olave is the only player I'd really care to have. He's got immense talent, and the Saints have been. What's their? You have to tell me their record. I think they're what, 3-3.
They are 3-3.
Okay, so it's going okay enough, and their defense is good enough that Derek Carr doesn't have to really take many risks. So it's been all right for them. But there's going to be a point in the season where Olave knows he's an alpha receiver. He's gonna whether we know about it or not, there's gonna be a squeaky wheel game in there, and he's gonna get right. I still believe in Olave. You don't love the situation, but yeah, I mean, I would be targeting Olave in trades for sure.
Yeah, and that's the most concerning thing, right? It's partially they haven't been able to connect on a deep shot, but it's also inconsistent usage of the games. He'll disappear for quarters and halves. So that's something you hope to clean up. So thank you for making me feel a little better. Let's just pick this game and get out of here.
Yeah, I agree. So I am going to go ahead. So we've got the Jags. We've got Nola. I don't care about the over. I don't care about the spread because -3 for the home team is basically a pick 'em. I just think that the Jags offense is going to be struggling with this defense, and I am worried about Trevor Lawrence not having mobility. I'm going to take Nola in a close one in this one.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is not what I wrote down, but I've changed my mind and I've pivoted. Just the conversation around Lawrence. I'm going Nola too. Call it a cop out because I can't lose this pick'em now. But I actually agree with you.
All right, man. Let's move on then. Let's move on. So
ATL at Buccaneers.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you pick this one first, but first things first, talk about fantasy. Atlanta, Arthur Smith. I'm looking at you, bro. Start using your best players more. All of a sudden, Atlanta is forced to be a passing team. Ritter had like 47 pass attempts last week. So the narrative is dead. They are not a run-only team. They are been forced to pass, which means Drake London and Kyle Pitts are starting to come somewhat alive for fantasy, which is a good turnaround if you invested in those players. Tyler Algier can't talk because I'm off like 4 hours of sleep and a full workday. Only so much coffee a man can drink. But yeah, Tyler Algier, it's not your fault, bro. I hate you. I'm sick of you getting high value touches around the goal line. Like, buck off. I need Bijan to score. Not that you're doing anything great, but Arthur Smith needs to shave his mustache and shut the fuck up and play Bijan. So yeah, I know I'm being greedy because he still gets like 20 touches a game, but I want those goddamn easy touchdowns.
Hey, man, I've got nothing more to add. I completely agree with it. I'm still skeptical about it's in terms of their consistency with this offense. They do mix a few other guys in there. Like you said, selfishly, I want them to use their best and most talented players. But it is encouraging to see that they surprise. You can't just run the ball 70 times in the new NFL. They've actually been throwing it a little more. Ritter's been looking not as much of hot ass as he has traditionally. So there is some reason for optimism, but I completely agree. We want to see consolidation in this offense now that it's finally opened up.
Yeah.
On the Buccaneers side, obviously they just got worked by a better team last week. There's nothing more to be said there. I wanted to believe, but I think that if I was being loud and not a fan, I think I would have known because I said it in the offseason. the Bucks are going to beat bad teams and lose to good teams. That's just kind of who they're going to be. They'll steal one here and there, but that's just kind of what it is. The easy ends for the Bucks are obvious. It's Mikey. That's for somebody that you must start. Against a tough defense, you can start Shad White. You can start Godwin. I certainly would not put them in the must-start category. And speaking of Rashad White, we just need to get it out there. There is no more hiding. There is no more secret. Obviously, Detroit was a particularly bad matchup against the run. Man, we got to figure out if they're going to be able to get anything out of Rashad White in this running game because it's been rough. 3.3 on the ground, yuck. The advanced metrics actually look even worse. And really the only thing that we've been floating his fantasy value with is just dominating 70% of the opportunities and a little bit of pass catching. I don't necessarily think that's going anywhere because the rest of our running backs kind of suck too. But I just, I'm not feeling great about it. So I'm looking for a friend to throw me a line, give me a reason to feel a little more optimistic about my guy.
Well, that's what you're looking for. You have not come to the right place, sir.
Fair, but accurate.
There's been a long list of running backs that have been relevant in terms of like being hyped for fantasy. When the case for a running back is like pretty much exclusively situation and not talent, it doesn't work out. We're seeing Alex Madison right now go through that. Well, we're seeing fantasy players. Madison is doing fine, getting paid a lot of money to play running back, but that's a different story. So, I go back to my boomer days. Guys like Isaiah Crowell.
Yeah.
Good situation. He's gonna be good. Kind of flopped. Gosh. You get these players that just aren't all that special, and then they get overtaken because they're not that special, or they're just kind of ineffective. I mean, we're seeing Najee in that same situation now. Kind of going back to my brain of like players like Sean Green.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of them.
A bunch of guys that were supposed to have the backfield to themselves. They did have the backfield to themselves. They just didn't do anything with it. And yes, the other thing with Chad, we're kind of dumping on him right now, but the situation isn't all that good. The Bucs O-line has actually been good in pass protection. They've been surprisingly good in that area.
Yeah.
But they can't open a hole in the running game to save their lives. They just are not like the middle of that line is like it's a sagging wall. It's not like bowing out. It's
getting pushed in every time. I feel the same way about the Raiders, by the way. We'll get to that. So I am not a believer in Rashad White. I hate to say it. I would have loved for that to work out. I'm just not a believer.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think that. I think that you put a Saquon Barkley behind that line, he'd make him look a lot better. But
I mean, I'll take it. I like this is outside of fantasy, but as a fan, I'm looking at these struggling teams, Tennessees of the world, the Giants of the world. I just say, just free your running back. He's only got like a year or two left, of any kind of utility. Like, let him be free. I'm going to talk about that. That's my pipe dream. But
I'll talk about that a little bit when we get to the Giants game, just a little bit. But let's
pick this thing.
Anybody else? I want to say very quickly though about Atlanta. you're going to start Bijan, you're going to start Drake, and honestly, I think it's at the point now, since they really have flipped the script, and I think Arthur Smith makes it a point to zig when you zag, that now he's all of a sudden going to put Kyle Pitts, make him a lot more featured in the offense. So you can start all those guys. I don't know about the whole Jonnu thing. I think that's like a couple weeks of relevance. It's going to go away. So, yeah, that's it. That's it. I actually think that Godwin is going to have a surprisingly good game here.
Yeah, he definitely could. You know, it really, like, I haven't deep dived into Atlanta's secondary, but I will say that Baker is just going to have to learn to look at more reads. That the Detroit game was terrible when he was pressured. You know, or even when he wasn't pressured, he was 1 and out, 2 and out.
You can't tell Aiden Hutchinson to wait up, little boy.
Right.
That guy's the real deal.
Right. Exactly. Cool.
That was hilarious though. But when he did that, when he said that.
Oh, really?
Wasn't that week 1? I think against the Vikings. Like he kind of like
put
his shoulder.
I thought you were talking about he said that to Aiden Hutchinson specifically. The only thing he said to Aiden Hutchinson was as he was running. But yeah, I'm gonna pick it. And you know what? Even though I got burned, I'm gonna be a homer again, Andrew. The Bucs are not perfect, but they're perfecter than Atlanta. I think the run defense is going to force Ritter to be a passer again. And even though it's been better, I still think that's what you want out of a defense.
Yeah, I mean, in a 38 and a half over under, this is going to be a defensive battle. And I think Bucs have a better defense, and they're facing a quarterback who can't handle it as good. Like Baker is okay against pressure. Ritter is shit.
Yeah.
So
right.
I'm going Bucs as well. I'm going Bucs as well.
Detroit at Baltimore. I'll just quickly run through it. It's Baltimore at home -3, 42 over and under. The obvious must starts are going to be the same ones every week. The Sun God and Laporta, assuming that he's back to being 100%. I didn't see anything on the injury report. You can always start Goff. I don't see him as a top 10 quarterback this week, but of course you can start him. And if Jameer is playing, he's in. I really do think that not only you can start him, but I think be a pretty damn good start. If Jahmyr Gibbs is out, then I actually move Craig Reynolds into the must start category. Because then it's all by yourself and you're just eating that food on the ground. I don't think Craig Reynolds is super explosive, but that volume's going to play. Any disagreements there, or should we just move on to Baltimore?
No. I don't really want to play Craig Reynolds regardless. I just don't. I think
if he's by himself, you wouldn't throw him in?
It's the situation. If I was desperate, I'd be like, God, I'm happy I have him, but I'm not like excited to play Craig Reynolds.
Okay, so he wouldn't be a must start.
And it's because his name's Craig Reynolds. And I admit that. But he's great.
David Montgomery.
Craig Reynolds. Just think of the name Craig Reynolds. Craig Reynolds is like your freaking local like masonry guy. Block the shit out of you. But running the ball? Oh no. Oh no, Craig.
Okay, but David Montgomery is a lawyer.
Well, I mean, whatever. It doesn't do. I'm not excited to play Craig Reynolds. Now,
I gotcha.
On the Detroit side, I'm just as, I don't even know if perplexed is the right word, just like ready to see Jameson Williams finally get a like good complement of snaps and see what he can do with it.
I mean, he did a lot with a small complement of snaps last week. He got a ton.
He did. And, you know, it's funny because he's like scored long touchdowns when they just kind of bring him out of nowhere. I don't know. I'm hoping he's somebody that eventually gets like, I know he won't be featured because you've got Amon-Ra, but like just be on the field. Like let that be a trio of St. Brown, Laporta, and Williams. I want to see that, and I want to see Jameer be in there. I don't know. I love Detroit. I think a lot of people do.
I'm completely with you. I'm ready to finally see what we hope to be like the next gen of this offense and more consolidated, right? Because they're, Josh Reynolds still mixes it. The other Reynolds, right, still mixes in quite a bit.
Khalif Raymond gets some plays here and there.
Yeah. So I think Detroit. I mean, Detroit's freaking 5-1, bro. They can do whatever they want right now.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
But I'm ready. I hope we see it this year. I hope we don't have to wait until next year to see the whiskey dick on the outside, Sun God on the inside, Gibbs going crazy in the backfield.
Yeah.
I hope we don't have to wait a whole year to see that because I am really excited.
Yeah. Well, they've got a winning formula right now, so it makes sense. Yeah, that's all I really got to say about Detroit. And then, okay, Baltimore side.
Yep. Lamar's in as a must. Zay, I actually think is a must now. I think he's graduated to that category along with Marky Mark.
I think you could confidently say Zay is a wide receiver too and be fine with that.
Yeah. I mean, he's finally gotten the end zone. Obviously, it was against a suspect secondary, but I think he's a smash start this week because I think this is Detroit's good up front. I still, I know that they drafted Brian Branch and there's like there's some promise in their back end, but like the numbers themselves for their pass.
The thing is too is like they very obviously draw up plays to go to Zay. Yeah. And that's super important in fantasy because you're getting like manufactured 4 or 5, assuming he doesn't just drop them. Like that's points you're getting guaranteed.
Yeah, and he's good. Yeah, talent and opportunity. He's along with Addison, he's that guy in terms of rookie receivers and with talent and opportunity. Mm-hmm. You want to pick this thing?
Yeah, just real quick. Are you pick one running back, if any, to start in Baltimore?
Lamar Jackson.
Someone you can play in your running back spot.
I don't wanna. For me, okay, you're asking me. It's Justice Hill because even though there was a cognitive dissonance thing where like Gus Edwards is supposed to be the goal line hammer, but like clearly he's not. So if they're all gonna mix in at random times, and Lamar's gonna run a lot, nobody's gonna get enough volume to really like be consistent. So. Just give me the guy that falls in the end zone. I'll take Justice Hill.
Right, and you'll end up being disappointed because Lamar will take it in. But anyways, okay, yeah, let's pick it, bro.
Man, I picked against Detroit last week, and it wasn't great. But give me the Ravens at home. Their defense is getting healthier, and I think that in this particular matchup, Lamar's mobility can give that D-line for Detroit a little trouble, can extend some plays. Maybe Hutchinson would blow up a statue, but Lamar could escape. So I think that they neutralize some of those things.
This is our first disagreement. I'm taking the Lions.
Tell me why.
The Lions are better coached. The Lions have more fight in them. The Lions are more
Campbell over Harbaugh?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
Absolutely. Harbaugh has lost big games. This is a big game for them, quite a lot. And the offense for Detroit it's just too much. I think they've got too much of a winning formula where I see the Ravens.
Golf on the road.
That is something to be a detractor. But I think this is the year that a lot of that narrative goes away because he's been good on the road. Actually, he's been better indoors though, and this is an outdoor game. I'm not going to pretend I've looked at the weather, but whatever. I don't care.
It's October. I'm sure it'll be fine enough.
Yeah, I don't think Goff is going to be great, but I think he's going to be good enough.
Okay.
Once again, this is basically a pick 'em being a three under for Baltimore.
Yeah. So I don't think, I don't think I have too much of room for disagreement. I just think,
and I think Detroit's defense is for real. They were a really good defense. And I know Lamar is always capable of pulling some magic, and that's dangerous.
Yep.
I think Detroit's going to be prepared for it. So I'm taking Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit is 6-1. When's the last time that happened? That would be pretty crazy.
Is your great grandfather still living?
No, he is not.
Mine either. But he might be the only one that could tell you that. All right, we've talked about this game a lot.
Yeah, Vegas at Chicago, road favorite Vegas.
Such a fun game.
Oh, it's going to be incredible.
Tyson Bagent versus Brian Hoyer. I can't wait. Let's go to the game.
This is what fantasy football does to us. Like, and we're already running hot on time, so I'm not going to get into all this, but like, this is the kind of game, if it wasn't for fantasy football, I would never touch. I would never look at.
Right.
In a million years. And this is what fantasy football forces us to do, is we have to talk about this terrible game. 37.5 over under. Sadness all over. Man, obviously, Jacobs and Adams, we know all about that. It's a, there's been that feeling of a must start, but Adams hasn't been great all the time with his opportunities are consistent. Jacoby Myers obviously has had a big time rapport with Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Don't really know about this new cat. Don't have a lot of confidence or understanding of him. You can stash Michael Mayer. Obviously, he's a talented tight end. He seems to be coming along a little bit right now.
You can start Michael Mayer against Chicago.
Yeah.
Good matchup.
Shit. I think I'm going to in a league. Yeah, but like, dude, I just want to fly through this game. It literally is like depressing me just talking about it. Chicago's defense is really bad. I think that each team being without a starting quarterback kind of neutralizes each other. And so if you believe that these quarterbacks can float the fantasy options on their team, I think you just send them in and just cover your eyes and don't watch the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's only the must-start kind of guys.
Yeah.
It's only Jacobs, it's Adams, it's Myers has gotten into that category now.
DJ might be it on Chicago side.
Yeah, it's DJ, and like you're only playing the only reason Chicago running backs are in play this week is because of all the injuries paired with all the bye weeks.
Right. But also Vegas's defense is proven something this year.
They have looked better the last few weeks.
Yeah.
For sure. So that's it. I'm not starting anybody else. I don't care. Like if you're desperate, if Roschon is actually playing, sure, you can start him. I suppose you can start Foreman if you really need to, although that is just like scraping the crust off the bottom.
May God have mercy on your lineup.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say about that.
In the bottom of the gravy bowl, like it's gross, but yeah.
Give me Vegas in this trash ass game. I think their defense is going to be the difference.
Yeah, it's two things for me. I'm taking the Raiders, and like you said, their defense is a plus. Give me a like 15 whatever year veteran to like control a game versus a rookie like. I don't even know if he was drafted in his first start.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm starting this defense, by the way.
No, I think, dude, you might just be fine. Honestly, they might surprise you and get you some big. Max Crosby's a freaking problem.
I picked them up intentionally to start them. This was an intentional move.
Oh no, I'm saying I know. I'm saying like it's a little like scary because you're like, well, it's the Raiders. They've only really disappointed in the last decade, but this is the matchup to play them. So
I think so. All
right, dude. Cleveland, Indy.
Oh man, it's another one, another battle of the backups.
Another
Fuck.
one. These games this week, man, there's going to be some low fantasy scores.
Yeah, dude. Cleveland, Indy, pick 'em, 40 over under, sadness. Massage Watson knows his contract is guaranteed, obviously.
Is this guy just the biggest douchebag in the league or what?
Dude, it's well, look, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to assume things. Guys get second opinions outside of the team doctors all the time. I don't know, but like the optics of it are very bad. And obviously, considering everything else about his character, I'm not giving him a lot of the benefit of the doubt here. I guess the must starts. If it's, I agree with you. I see in the show doc. If it's not DTR, Cooper's fine to start. I don't think there's any must start. I don't think you have to start any of these guys, but you can start Ford. You could start Cooper. Never start a quarterback on Cleveland, and
I think Kareem Hunt is startable if you ask me.
Yeah, I think he's on the borderline between stash and start for me, but I think you can start him. Definitely, I think he should be on rosters.
In the context of this week with the amount of injuries and bye weeks, yeah.
And
he's in the conversation.
And his numbers are starting to climb in terms
a
of
little bit
in the office.
Mr. Brown.
Yeah, on the Indy side, obviously Josh Downs is really played himself into a flex starter role. He's got the ability to hit some touchdowns, but really it's the receptions, not high yardage receptions, right? Like he ends up with 30, 40 yards, but he'll give you some receptions. So he's a high floor guy. Pittman is always startable. And I think that this is the week that JT is unleashed and then releashed. He's going to be unleashed to do something, but he's going to be locked down by Cleveland's pretty fucking awesome defense.
Yeah.
And I have to take a second to recognize Cleveland. I gave them no shot against San Fran. I know you gave them no shot against San Fran. That defense, obviously there were injuries on both sides. Like that played a factor as well. But that defensive front made San Fran's O-line look human and look average. And I haven't seen that since the NFC Championship with Philly. So I think we need to start thinking of Cleveland in that category of defensive fronts. They're pretty fucking scary. So I can start everybody on Indy's side here. I don't know that I'm excited to start anybody.
Yeah, on the Brown side, I think you're good to start Cooper. That's about it. What am I talking about? We were talking about this. Indy, yeah. You're starting Pittman. You're starting Josh Downs. And I think you can start JT.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He can break one off. It's just it's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough test, even at home.
Yeah. And like it just makes me wonder why they I don't know the exact transactions of the Browns teams. I'd have to talk to Kyle about that, but like did they not have PJ Walker when they started DTR a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Maybe they just wanted to get a look at him. I don't know, but
I know he looked good in the preseason. Maybe that's why. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, but it didn't look good fast in that game. That's all I remember.
So, all right, you want to pick this thing or what?
Let's pick it.
All right, I'll go first this time because you picked first a bunch of times, but the Browns just won a game where they were underdogs, and They won with the backup quarterback now. Brock Purdy was starting that game last week. I think they got a lot of swagger right now. And I think that they are not scared to go into somebody else's house and whoop that ass with that
Yeah.
defense. And I think that they're going to be able to get this thing done. 40-point over under here. I think that it's not even particularly close. And Cleveland just makes Minshew look like crap.
Yeah. Sadly, I agree with you. Obviously, I was there in that bright Florida sun watching Minshew toss 3 of them.
Yeah.
Against Jacksonville. And
Right.
Jacksonville and Cleveland. So,
Right. Yeah.
man, it sucks. It sucks. A-Rich out for the year. Basically a completely lost season again after there was a little hope and a little juice in Indy. And I'm not saying it's going to be impossible for them to win some games down the road. They're going to win a couple games here and there, but like the wind has gone out of the season in Indy after starting I think 2-1, 3-1, 2-1.
I think they were 3-1 actually.
I think they were. I don't know why I'm a bad fan for not remembering that, but I think it was 3-1. Like there was juice and there was buzz in the building, and unfortunately, when your top quarterback pick goes out the way he did, it's bad vibes, and I think those bad vibes unfortunately continue for one more week.
Yeah.
All right,
man.
Buffalo Bills, the New England Patriots, where they are 8-point favorites on the road with a 41 over-under, which does not give New England a lot of points.
No, it does not.
It does not give them a lot of points.
New England is looking
Andrew,
like
take this away since I've boycotted talking about New England.
New England has exactly 0 must starts on their team. I'm still going to start Ramondre in the hopes that
You can.
The hopes is that they actually pass him the ball a good bit.
They did more last week.
Yeah, so that's really what I'm hoping that happens. It's NFL football. New England will break out a couple plays here and there. But the problem is they can't seem to cross the freaking goal line, which kind of matters, especially when you're playing a really good team like Buffalo. So really, it's Ramondre, and that's it. You could always throw Hunter Henry in and hope to get lucky. But, I mean, they're basically projected to score 1 touchdown. Do you really want to take your bet on a 1 touchdown performance?
That's bad business.
Yeah. So that's really it. It's all sad vibes right now for New England. That's it.
Yeah, on the Buffalo side, I think the math is really easy. Obviously, it's Allen and Diggs, of course.
Yeah.
You can start Gabe even after a bad game, and you can start James Cook because he's a talented player on a good team. But you and I, Andrew, have discussed this several times now. He's a between the 20s guy on a team that doesn't really feature the run game, and so.
Yeah.
You were right about that, and it's proving to be pretty damn accurate.
Yeah. So like what I wrote in the notes, let you guys behind the curtain a bit. It's really, really fascinating stuff. Was he's a running back that doesn't get high value touches on a team that splits carries.
And a running quarterback.
That does not feature a running back or the running game besides when Josh Allen runs. So you have a lot of like strikes against James Cook's value. As much as the talent is there, the talent of Josh Allen and Diggs supersedes his value. So they don't need to run it through him. That's the problem.
The Buffalo team, I've noticed from watching them pretty closely the last couple of years, they do this weird thing where there will always be a small stretch of the season where they like remember like, oh shit, yeah, like running the ball is a thing. And for like 3 or 4 games, their running back will like go off.
Yeah, Singletary had that stretch, like
Yes.
3-game stretch a few years back.
Yeah.
James Cook started looking better towards the end of last year. It's an odd thing, but
yeah, you don't draft players for like 3 or 4 game stretches that come randomly. So it's bad vibes there. Let's pick it and kick it.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, it's the Bills, and I'm pretty sure you're going the Bills. So
gotta pay the bills.
I guess the question is here: Does New England cover?
So are you saying do they beat the spread, aka do they lose by less than 8 points?
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. What's the right way to say that? I don't know. I'm not a betting guy.
Yeah. So Buffalo would cover and New England would beat the spread.
Okay. Okay.
Or yeah, I think. I'm
Whatever,
not
dude.
Either,
You know what I'm saying.
I'm pretty sure that's it. Dude, no, because I don't think it's gonna. Buffalo is going to go that crazy on offense. I just think that New England's not going to be able to do anything. So I think Vegas is right on it. I think you're looking at a 21-10 game, something like that. You know?
Yeah.
These
divisional games are tough, but I don't know, man. I just think it's kind of like I think the New York Giants. I don't know if it was the Giants or no. I'm going to give the Giants a little bit of credit here and say that their defense really stepped up and played very well for 3 quarters.
Yes, they did, and they deserved better from the play calling and from their quarterback's situational football.
Yeah, for sure.
Tyrod played a better and cleaner game than Danny Jones has played lately, but. Yeah. I mean, the defense stepped up, and I thought that was a unit that showed some pride, and I was actually happy to see that for once.
It was encouraging. It was encouraging because, yes, that's really a good word for it. Is pride. Like they kind of said, like we are tired of getting embarrassed on primetime games. And they only missed 5 tackles. They've been missing like 10 plus.
Yeah.
So now I'll give them credit, but I will also say Buffalo helped them out with a lot of miscues.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the 4th quarter, Josh Allen was Josh Allen, and he put up 14 points when it was 0 points through 3 quarters. So, dude, I think it's more of a get-right game for the Buffalo to stomp a division rival, and they win like 34-10.
From your mouth to God's ears, my friend. I hope so. I need it this week. The rest of that lineup is looking
for Latavius Murray. So, all right, moving on.
Washington, road favorites by 2.5 at New York. He's over unders, bro. What? This week sucks.
Dude, it's a rough week. There's going to be some low fantasy scores.
This is terrible. At least everybody's going through it at once. Like please give me something over 45. Jesus. 39 over under. We can really save some time in this game. Even though B-Rob isn't very efficient, the matchup is. Give me B-Rob and Terry on the Washington side. Give me Saquon for sure on the Giants side. You can always take your shot on the tight end Waller, but just understand he has not cracked double digits yet on the season. So there's not much of a ceiling there.
In half PPR, he did one time, but it was like at 10 points.
Okay. I guess I was looking.
Sorry to be the freaking stickler, but it's barely. I'm not giving him a ton of credit. It's barely.
He hasn't had big time ceiling games yet. No. Not that it couldn't happen in a division game of not a great defense. But yeah, I mean that's really it from a fantasy perspective. We've already talked about all the reasons we don't like these offenses. Let's just pick it and kick it here.
Okay. Well, this is somewhat homerism, but also I think that the Giants are very encouraged by the game they played. I feel like, and in recent history, the Giants have had Washington's number. So Howell has put up numbers, but he's kind of like Jalen Hurts, super poor man. Like,
Yeah.
he ugly puts together a good fantasy performance.
Kirkland brand Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's a good way to say it. We have Jalen Hurts at home. So I think that the defense is actually going to play pretty good enough. And I think that they found some stuff on offense, but the score won't reflect it.
Yeah,
Of
Tyrod Taylor over Daniel Jones. That's what they found.
That, hey, I don't know. That whole situation is, I don't think it's situation. I just don't know if Danny's going to be healthy. So whatever. Regardless, I am going to take the Giants in this game because it would be a very Giants thing to do. Once the whole fan base decides that we're going to tank, they're going to win a game.
Yeah, and it just, I mean, the thing is that we fade these teams every week, but it's pro football, and most of the time the scores are within a score anyway. So like, even though we think the Giants are going to lose every game forever, that clearly almost never happens. Just to be different, because we haven't differed much here, and it's basically a pick'em game. I'll be your nemesis on this. I'll go with the washed Commanders. I do agree with what you're saying. I just think, I don't know. I think Washington has more weapons, and it can get loose and do something. I don't know.
That's the other side of it too, is like the Commanders have at least shown the ability to score points, where the Giants haven't, and that's kind of a big deal towards winning football games. So, all right, that's enough on this game. Moving on.
AZ at Seattle. Seattle with the 12th man. They're giving them 7.5 with a 45 over under. Okay, it's a little better. It's making me feel a little better. On the Zona side, the only must start is Hollywood. That's it.
Yeah.
All three of their middling, trashy running backs got mixed in last week, so I'm just staying away. Totally. Like I'm just not into it until James Conner is back. I'm out. Don't give up on Michael Wilson. I'm just not so sure that it's his time to rise yet. We'll talk about that later.
He's a stash. That's it.
And what I'll do, Andrew, before we get into our debate topic here, I'll just kind of go through Seattle real quick, just so we're done with it and then ready to pick it. Obviously, Seattle's a pretty consolidated offense with their starts. So it's Ken Walk, it's DK. Lockett is always a can start, not a must start. Thank you, Pete Carroll, for making the offense very easy for fantasy football. You know what to do every week there. One interesting point in this game is Kyler's practicing.
Mm-hmm.
He's still not watching film probably, but he is practicing. So being that it seems like Josh Dobbs kind of is getting figured out a little bit after some pops early in the season, let's just we can't debate if Kyler comes back or not. We don't know, but we can only assume. Let's say he's back 2 weeks from today, right? How much does that elevate Arizona's passing game options? And in 2 more games that we're not going to see James Conner, does that give you confidence in the running game? Like, I guess the question really is Kyler coming back enough of a boost to give us old school 2020 Arizona?
No, they don't have the team around him that they did back then. Not that it was great, but it was at least better.
Mm-hmm.
He had a very trustworthy DeAndre Hopkins. He doesn't have that right anymore. If James Conner's not there, it's going to be a revolving door. Like, Kyler Murray opens the door for more consistent big plays.
Yeah.
But that's about it. Josh Dobbs is a good runner in his own right. Maybe not quite as good as Kyler, but how good is Kyler going to be coming off a major knee?
So Dobbs is Kirkland Kyler.
Huh?
So Dobbs is Kirkland Kyler.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, kind of. Dobbs,
Okay.
I've liked Dobbs. He's impressed. But, yeah, I think that the league's starting to figure out how to play him now, and they're not really falling for that crap anymore. There's been a little bit more respect, I think, for Arizona, the way that they've held their own in the first, 3 weeks of the season. Yeah. Obviously, beating Dallas was a huge, wake-up call to, I think, a lot of teams. Hey, this team can beat you. If you fuck around, you're going to find out. They're not as bad. So yeah,
they're pro football players.
Exactly. I did want to quickly mention, just keep your eye on JSN if he's available in any of your leagues. Snap count's starting to creep up.
Okay. So we're on.
Or
yeah. So we're on sneaky stash alert.
Yeah, you're on injury watch, obviously, for Seattle. If one of those receivers actually gets hurt, which they've been, knock on wood, extremely durable. DK seems to get hurt every game. Not really.
He's some basketball players like that. It's getting off the court, and then he's fine 2 plays later.
Well, he's Wolverine with the adamantium skeleton. He's yeah, I'm good. Hurt a little bit, I'm good.
For what it's worth, I was leading the question a little bit, but I agree with you. I think the only difference in Arizona's offense with Kyler is that I think you have a chance for more ceiling with Hollywood. Exactly. Hollywood has actually given you a very respectable floor to this point, but I think it gives you more ceiling games. Go get them if you can.
Sure.
All right. We picking this B?
Yeah, I'm good. I got to go Seahawks. They're at home. Better team. They just lost. Close one. They're going to bounce back, I think, at home.
Same pick for the same reasons.
All right, cool.
All right, so my mouse is dead. That's cool. Pittsburgh Rams.
This game, once again, net 3 under for the Rams. They're at home, so basically a pick 'em. Surprisingly, a 43.5 over under for Pittsburgh to be in a game like that.
Interesting.
Right?
You think that has to do with Deontay potentially coming back?
Yeah, and I also think it has to do with them coming off a bye.
Fair. That's fair. Yeah, and by the way, some shallow leagues.
Muth is back too, which is
So they're healthy. Their offense is healthier for whatever that means. Obviously, I don't think Deontay is like a super must start, but I would circ some waivers for him to see if people just forgot about Deontay Johnson out there because it's been a while. I don't think anybody's really a must start, especially now that we're going to spread out some targets and some opportunities. But you absolutely can start Pickens, Warren, Johnson. Are we wheels up for Warren, Andrew? Like, is it finally time? Goodbye, Najee?
Nope, because the Steelers won't do it.
Really, man? That's like
this is going to be.
I feel like coming off the bye, they could.
Right. I was just going to say that. I think this is the week that you're going to really find out what they are going to do going forward. I find it very hard to believe that they're going to move off Najee. I think at best you're getting a 50-50 split, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I still think it's going to be mostly Najee. I don't have faith that they're going to make that move and really feature Warren. But
I've got more confidence in that. I think you're looking at closer to 60-40, 65-35 because Warren is just
in Warren's favor.
Yeah, he's not Bijan Robinson, but he freaking Najee makes him look like Bijan Robinson. Like he's actually doing something with his touch.
He brings a spark every time he's on the field, it seems like.
Yeah. So I
hope you're right.
I've got faith in Tomlin. Tomlin's been coaching for too long, and he's too smart to let draft capital sink his season. But That being said,
I don't know if it's draft capital though. Whatever. Let's just hope that they start going to Warren. That's all.
If it's still Najee 65% of the backfield touches, then I gotta think he knows some crazy dirt on Mike Tomlin. like he's got some weird prawn videos or something.
Yeah.
So all right, Rams must start. Obviously, we know who's a must start on the Rams. It's Cooper Kupp. Everybody else, in my opinion, is a can start. Of course, you can start Puka every week. And then there used to be another must start, but not no more. Because Kyron Williams has disintegrated and reincarnated into 3 average running backs: Zach Evans, Rel Henderson, and someone that I didn't even care to put on the dock, so I forgot his name. But they brought somebody up from the somebody else.
Royce Freeman.
Royce freaking Freeman.
And then did they sign Myles Gaskin?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And there's been a free agent spree of picking up all these turds. Like, why?
That's bad news. That's bad news for Kyron. Them going out and signing all of these random running backs.
He's more injured.
McVay said he's going to be fine, but their front office moves is saying he's not going to be fine.
It's McVay, dude. It's McVay.
Big old liar face.
Yeah, he's a freaking liar, dude. Kyron is hurt. He's probably going to be out for like at least 3 weeks. And
so who are you taking a shot on here?
I was able to pick up Zach in the league. Is that his name? Zach Evans? Is it Zach?
Yep.
Okay. Insert running back here. Like
another not exciting name. So, he sounds like your daughter's idiot 17-year-old boyfriend that you don't like.
Yeah. I don't think I like anybody that's in a teen range. I just don't like them. So run around with their smartphones. Anyways, I'm an old boomer. So football. Pretty much what you said. The only running back I'm willing to put in my lineups is Zach Evans and just hope for the best. He might fall in the end zone.
Rel is interesting. A debate can be made that it could be Rel because he had some success before. He knew the offense. Zach is an unknown, right? And I paid some fab to pick him up. But I'll be honest, like, was I grinding Zach Evans tape in the offseason? Hell no, I was not. I've never really heard of this guy. So
yeah.
Rel is, he's kind of been bouncing around a little bit. Like he hasn't really caught on anywhere since LA. So I think Zach will have the first opportunity. I went with the youngest player that has, I guess, maybe potential, but yeah, this could be like this could be a committee of sadness too. So, we'll have to just see where the touch distribution goes. Sure. In my particular case, I'm jamming him in my lineup because I have to. And here we are.
Week 7.
Welcome to week 7. Lucky number 11. I'm going to go with the Rams. I'm going to keep fading Pittsburgh, even though they keep proving me wrong, and they're 3-2 with a crazy negative point differential, man. Like their point differential actually is a lot closer to the Giants than it is to Philly. I'll tell you that.
Right. Yeah. I wish I could disagree and we could disagree on more picks, but yeah, I have to go Rams because like you said, they're kind of like this false team a little bit. And I just feel like I've got to trust the team that has a good quarterback with a great weapon versus they are banged
up. That is a strike against LA is that they are banged up, and particularly in the running back room. But Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
care that much. I mean, Kyron Williams has been good for fantasy, but he's been kind of an average player in
he hasn't been very
efficiency.
efficient. Yeah.
So
Um,
I think that as fantasy players, we're more hurt than the Rams.
agreed. Agreed.
So I'm gonna go Rams because the weapon of Cooper and having a good quarterback versus a wet fart offense like Pittsburgh. Yeah, I mean their defense can always change games, but how much can you rely on that from week to week?
Yeah.
It's difficult. I'm gonna go Rams in this game.
Apparently 3 out of 5 weeks. but yeah, I actually agree with you. I'm gonna go with the Rams too. I will say this, dude. If Mike Tomlin takes this booty base offense to the playoffs again, I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to start having GOAT conversations about him. Not even because he's won a Super Bowl, but because of what he's done with these garbage ass offenses.
And the funny thing is, everybody hates their offensive coordinator, Matt Canada.
Oh, well, but I mean, with good reason. Canada sucks.
Yeah, he schemes up like one read and that's it. Anyway, okay, we're spending too much time on this shit.
I know this game doesn't deserve it. Andrew, we have a high over/under to talk about.
Yay!
Chargers at Kansas City. Home favorites, 5 points, 48.5 over/under. Thank God. I was getting that banana rama ready for the side of my head, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I do.
So obviously we know the must starts on Kansas City, Trav, Pacheco, Patty. You can now start Rashee Rice. I give you permission. You can start him.
I think I'm doing it in a league because Jefferson hurt, Wilson bye, blah blah blah. So
and he's ascending. You've seen the ascension now for a couple weeks.
Okay, let's put it this way. If there's anybody in the wide receiver room as of yesterday, since now Mecole Hardman.
Oh yeah, Mecole Hardman, welcome back. Just to the receiver roulette in Kansas City.
If there's any receiver to put your chips on, it would be Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
So
couldn't agree more. Well, I guess that's pretty easy on the KC side. Chargers, obviously, must starts, Eckler, Keenan. Is Justin Herbert a must start in this matchup? Like, is he must start?
I'm not going to start a very good quarterback in a high over/under game. I'm not going to sit him. Did I say start? I'm not going to sit.
Yeah. I was wondering if you were doing like a sarcasm bit.
Sorry, I meant to say I'm not going to sit him.
The only reason I ask is that he didn't look great against Dallas last week, and
I don't think there's a single game he's scored less than 20 points, dude. Yeah, you're going to start Justin Herbert.
You can start Josh Palmer. I was wrong. I thought that Q Johnston could grow into being a useful fantasy receiver in this offense. And obviously I was way fucking wrong about that. I should not have invested in him. That did not look great. He did not look like he was
There
ready.
were so many red flags about him coming in. And I also drafted him very late, like 10th, 11th round.
Yeah, it was a flyer because I said, "Oh, he's got the body. He's in a great offense."
And the reason I drafted him too, particularly there, was because I had already drafted Herbert, and I was like, if it works out, I got a good stack. Hasn't worked out, so he's been doesn't look
like it's gonna this year, and
No.
maybe never. And I gotta start Chargers. They're on my radar for being the next team that I rage out on for being poorly and shittily run. They're close.
Kellen Moore, head coach for the Chargers, loading.
Please anything different, dude. But they need to draft better too. All right.
One more player. How do you feel about Gerald Everett?
I think he's always at the tight end position. I don't see him as a weekly starter only because there's too many mouths to feed in this offense. Like at least this has been my feeling. I haven't been a big Everett guy, but my feeling is Everett eats when either Keenan or Eckler is out. And then he just kind of becomes like he might score a touchdown, he might not. That's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Anything else? Do we want to pick this fucker?
I am going to take the Chiefs because LA just can't ever seem to shut the goddamn door on a team. And Kansas City is really good at bursting through a slightly ajar door. So however the game looks in the fourth quarter, I don't care. The Chiefs will end up winning.
I agree. And the way that I look at it, Andrew, is very similar. In an alternate universe where the Chargers are in a different city, have a different ownership and operations group, and have a more complete roster around Herbert, I think they could be somewhere close to where the Kansas City Chiefs are now, but they're not.
I think that
so they're gonna keep being a off-season hype team that ultimately fails.
And the thing is, I also think that Herbert is a very good quarterback that gets pushed into this elite level because of highlight plays, but he also misses a lot of crucial plays.
Yeah.
It doesn't get talked about as much because you just remember the highlights, and it's like, dude, he still doesn't deliver in clutch moments, that's the elite part. That's what makes you elite. I hate this word elite gets used too much, too liberally. Okay.
And I still think he needs I agree with you because I think Herbert honestly is a little bit of a victim of his own early success as a rookie when he really burst onto the scenes. Like that's what people kind of always go back to. And I think maybe elevated him to a point that he wasn't quite ready for, or he wasn't that guy. But I also am not putting it all on him. I still think that they haven't put together as good a team around him as they can or should. Outside of Keenan Allen, I haven't always really loved, who they've had on the outside. I really haven't. So, I got KC as well. I don't know if they cover or not. I think LA makes it close because all their games are close. They're just going to lose. They're going to lose.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say about the Chargers, and I'll keep this quick. I think they've done a good job putting a team around him, but their coaching has fucked it up.
That's fair.
I mean, how do you give up that much of a lead in the playoffs last year? I mean, what the hell? Anyways, I'm not a Chargers fan. I don't really care. I'm not a little Asian woman screaming in a press box. But
you mean you're not an NFL plant Charger fan?
Dude, let's debate it. No. Okay. Anyway. It's the Chiefs. Moving on. Green Bay, Denver.
Pick them. 44
I don't even know how this is 44.5. Well, actually, I do know. Denver's defense sucks.
Well, and I was going to say Green Bay's defense sucks. They don't suck. They're just kind of whatever.
They're Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, and losing Zadarius Smith was a big deal for them. Aaron Jones, limited at practice coming off the bye. We don't love that. We would like to see a full practice coming off the bye, but sure. I'm not panicking unless that happens on Thursday.
He's a veteran. He doesn't necessarily have to do full practice all the time.
So if he's active, he's a must start, obviously, especially in this matchup. You can definitely start Romeo and Watson. Don't mess around with Jaden Reed. The passing offense isn't good enough to support 3 dudes, and it's just not his time yet. Anything from the Bay side, Andrew?
No, man, that's really it. I think You can start. You can take a shot on Jordan Love if you need to stream for whatever reason.
Yep.
But
Denver sucks.
Denver's defense is pretty rough. So yeah, that's
now
it.
another team that they've been terrible, but credit where credit is due. I also thought they played KC tough. As tough as you can play them while still losing and losing pretty big. But like I guess I'm giving them credit for not letting up 30 points, 40 points, like everybody thought they were going to. The game was not as high scoring as we thought it was going to be. Oh man, nobody's a must start on Denver, Andrew. You can take a shot on a receiver if you really want to.
I'm saying about Denver, there's no must starts, but there's a must sit, and that's Jerry freaking Judy.
Yeah, dude.
They are getting him. God. They're bundling him up so that he doesn't get hurt, and they can trade him.
Yeah, and I wonder if you saw it, but Denver did not take the biggest L on Thursday night. It was definitely Jerry Judy. Did you see the Steve Smith thing?
Oh, I freaking loved it.
He top roped him. He top fucking roped him.
That was awesome. He's my favorite non-giant wide receiver ever, Steve Smith.
Like it's okay. And we talked a few weeks ago, Andrew, about the why am I blanking on this asshole's name? The Patriots, former Patriots player, talked a lot of shit on TV. Why am I blanking on this guy's name?
Was he a receiver?
No. The dude, he's on TV all the time.
Talking about Rodney Harrison?
Yes. And he dunked on Zach Wilson for no reason. And
that was
like go in on him.
But see, that was like a I'm gonna try to rope this player in.
Right.
I don't respect that.
Yes.
But Steve Smith's just like, no, I'm telling this motherfucker he sucks.
My point exactly. That was exactly my point because, like, first of all, he said it to his face first. Number one, that's how you handle that.
He did.
You did say it to his face first, and then what I loved is like, it was so hilarious. He's like, I'm not gonna say that you're a middling wide receiver that hasn't shown anything since you've been drafted in the first round, but you're a bad wide receiver that hasn't done anything since you've been drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact quote, but I freaking loved it. Steve Smith is my hero.
I love Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Always loved him. The Giants did have a Steve Smith as a receiver. Not that Steve Smith, though.
Yeah. Not senior. Not Steve Smith senior. Yeah, dude, like nobody that you really have to start on Denver. You can take your shot on Cortland Sutton if you really have to, but like Denver is another one of these offenses that just isn't good, number one, and isn't consolidated. So it's like bad for fantasy all around.
I mean, you kind of have to I'm in a matchup now where somebody right now, I don't know if he's going to end up doing it, but he's got both Javonte and Jaleel starting in his running back spots.
Well, we're gonna touch on that team a little bit later, but that fantasy manager is in a really rough spot, having a tough season. It happens to all of us. My heart goes out to you. I just don't think it's going to happen this year. It's not your year every year in fantasy. Sometimes it's not your year, and I don't think it's his year.
Yeah.
Let's pick it and kick it.
Okay, man. I gotta go Packers. I can't pick the phony Russell Wilson and the washed up Sean Payton. I just can't do it. I gotta go Packers.
Yeah, I think Jordan Love coming off a bye, coming off his worst game of the season, I think that he will get right against this terrible defense, and I think Green Bay steals this one on the road.
Sweet.
Dude, we got to start disagreeing. We're going to end up with another damn tie.
We've got a couple so far.
We do have a couple.
Miami is probably like the easiest team ever because it's just like start everybody.
Yes, Miami at Philly. Everybody that's a starter on Miami is a starter in your roster.
Yep.
I don't know if Tua is a must start because it's a tougher matchup, but certainly he's always
It's not though. I mean, Philly's passing defense has been crap. He's gonna pick them apart, dude.
Okay.
30 burger incoming Tua.
Oh, I think Andrew. I think I'm smelling our first disagreement in a while here. So must starts for Philly: Swifty, Hurts, Devontae, AJB. Not that Devontae's had great games every week, but he has the talent, and this is not a great defense in Miami.
I would be a little concerned about Devonta because apparently he has some kind of hamstring thing going on.
Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't pick that up.
The question, sometimes these Wednesday, because we're recording on a Wednesday, reports are like his cat like scratched him on his leg, so it's
right.
A
so it has to go on the report. Yeah,
it could be nonsense and just a nothing burger.
The sex was a little too rough last night, type of thing.
Is he allowed to do that? They just had a baby. Well, maybe it wasn't with his wife. That's so I would be a little concerned about that. And if he doesn't play, I think that makes Goddard a very good.
Yeah. Well, that brings him from can start to must start instantly with that consolidation.
I think yeah, you're right. You're right. Never mind. Yeah, you're right.
It's tight ends. They're tight ends.
Exactly. Tight ends.
I am really interested to see this clash of styles.
This should be a fun game.
Yeah, 52 over under, my friend, and basically a pick 'em. So like Vegas doesn't know what to do with this shit. So that means it should be good. Is there anything else fantasy wise that we want to talk about, or can we kind of actually pick what I think might be the most interesting game of the week?
Yeah, we can just pick the game because we know everybody's starting their dudes on their teams.
So I'm going to pick Philly at home. I think they score early. I think they're able to play a little keep away. And even though their secondary is not great, yes, they are susceptible to big plays right now. I think that D-line has the ability still to heat Tua up and force a few mistakes. And honestly, I promise that I am not trying to shit on Miami's early season success. Like, I am not saying they're fake whatsoever. But outside of Buffalo, they've been beating up on some pretty poor teams and pretty poor defenses. And so I think that this is their second big test on the road. And I think they failed this test. That's my pick.
Cool. I am going with the Dolphins. And the Eagles have been vulnerable through the air. Obviously, the speed on Miami, I think, is going to throw them for a loop. I think that Philly's defense can struggle in the run game against outside zone. You are not getting anywhere up the middle on that front.
Right.
But I
think they're not even going to try, probably.
And like the creativity from Mike McDaniel, it's a weapon in itself. I think that they match up well against Philly's defense. And I think that on the flip side, they're kind of evenly matched. The only question I have is how much do the refs not like the Dolphins and love the Eagles? Because when you can get stuffed on the goal line and they go to a TV timeout and then all of a sudden it's a rushing touchdown for Jalen Hurts, yeah, that's fucking bullshit. That's the thing for me is I feel like Philly just gets every call, and call me a salty Giants fan, but
you're a salty Giants fan.
I am, but like, let me just juxtapose this real quick. Philly gets stuffed on the goal line with their tush push. I'm not calling it the other thing. They get out of a TV timeout, and all of a sudden it's a touchdown that was not called a touchdown. So they had to reverse a call, which you know has to be without a doubt to reverse it, right?
And we never saw the replays for that.
No. I mean, they showed some angles. None of it was conclusive. Then, juxtaposed with the Giants in the last play of a game where their receiver gets clearly interfered with. Guy is pulling his jersey down, not looking back for the ball whatsoever. Yeah, it's hard not to be salty when they get like gifted touchdowns and you get shit on by officials. So you get your linebacker who just high fives their quarterback and they get a roughing the passer call. It's like, come on, dude. Like refs have their favorites, and for whatever reason. Anyways, that's a whole tangent about something different. Miami's going to beat Philly. Philly's going to lose 2 in a row after their streak gets broken because the NFL just be like that.
You know, and hey, I'm glad we're disagreeing. I think it's been terrible podcasting and we've agreed on every take. I think Philly gets right. I think they come in pissed off. And Andrew, like, I don't think Philly wins because they shut Miami down. I think Philly wins because their defense does enough and they outscore them. Because I think that they're going to be able to score on this defense.
It really should be like the game. Be very happy.
I think it's going to be great.
If you've got AJ Brown on your team, or you've got Tyreek Hill, of course, every week, but I think both those guys are going to show out and maybe give you like 30
give me the points.
Yeah. So okay, we've talked enough about this game. The Monday night game, man. San Fran at Minnesota. They're 6.5 point favorites. 44 over under, respectable. Dude, I think this game hits the under.
Man, sadly, I actually agree. Especially if McCaffrey and Debo stay on the shelf. It seems like neither of those injuries are super serious, but it's 1 week, right? Like, especially a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. Like, I don't know if they need to be risking players like that all the time, but we're not going to know until hopefully Friday, maybe even later. So I strongly recommend having a same game pivot, having like an Eli Mitchell if that's your flavor, or a Jordan Mason if that's your flavor. And maybe that's a debate topic. Like, what is your flavor? Like, who do you think would be the guy after McCaffrey? Because I think a lot of people assumed it was Eli, but it didn't look like that right after the injury.
Yeah, I think that he's been working his way back, and I think it's going to be pretty much split right down the middle, man. So what I think is going to happen, this is my prediction on a Wednesday evening. I think Debo is going to play because you can decoy at the wide receiver position. You're not going to decoy at the running back position where they need to call run plays.
Right, and especially when like it's your side getting hurt and getting hurt even more.
Yeah, I don't see why a team that is like basically a lock to make the playoffs is going to risk their super incredibly dynamic running back. Like, he is one of the few players that has the running back tag next to his name that really makes a big difference for an offense.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of running backs that are good, but they give your team a boost, but it's like, it's minuscule.
Him coming into this offense unlocked everything. They became a different team.
Yeah, it was the missing piece for sure. I think they can beat Minnesota, especially when you say, gosh, this game in itself proves how rough injuries have been. No Jefferson, and I'm predicting no McCaffrey. I think they're going to sit him down for 1 week. That's my guess.
I actually have a tendency to agree with you. And in fact, as a McCaffrey owner, even though I'm a greedy SOB, I actually want that to happen because I want McCaffrey to be healthy and be around. Another thing on the San Fran side, it's not a fantasy injury, but it kind of is. Trent Williams is hurt and doesn't look like he could go. So honestly, that's almost a bigger injury to them than even McCaffrey. So, I guess we haven't done the must starts for San Fran. I guess I'll start with Brock, man. If he's missing potentially 2 weapons and his all-world tackle, can you still play this guy?
I think you can, but you have to just be in a spot where you're kind of asked out. Like you're in like a 12 or 14 team league.
He's not a top 10 play for you then.
No, not without McCaffrey and Debo, because McCaffrey masks. Mask is not the right word because that's kind of implying that he's not that good. McCaffrey elevates his ceiling so much. That I don't think the offense is going to be able to function. If you're missing McCaffrey and you're missing the road grader, Trent Williams, it's going to severely hamper the offense, but the coaching and the system for the 49ers is enough for them to score. I just don't think you're going to get the high octane 30-point performance, even though it's Minnesota.
And the bad defense for Minnesota helps too.
That will help. But so I think it's like a 24. I think they're spot on, man. 24-20 game, and it's a 44-point over under. I think San Fran's going to win it.
Ayuk and Kittle obviously were going to be must starts probably anyway, but especially with the consolidation, they're probably smash starts now.
Yeah.
On the Minnesota side,
Juwan Jennings is a pivot option if Debo doesn't play. Like, put McCaffrey in the flex because Monday night. Pick up Juwan Johnson. Maybe at least you get a start if you have to.
Yeah. If you didn't pick up one of the other potential running backs there, that's a good call out. Or you can have some pivot options on the Minnesota side. Addison and Hawkinson, I think, are now – Hawkinson was always a must-start, of course. I think Addison, to me, is now in must-start territory because he has the talent and has the opportunity. KJ Osborne is fine, but KJ Osborne is a Jag. I saw KJ Osborne involved in a trade this week. And, Andrew, I think you're going to be proud of me. I did not agree with the trade. I'm not going to get into the details, but it seemed to be 2 must-start players for 3 can-start players, and I didn't like it. But I did not veto campaign for it. I left it alone. Growth. I think even in a bad matchup, you can definitely start Alex Madison, obviously, and or KJ if you really need to. Although
I'm trying to avoid.
I think there's room for 3 receivers to be good in this game.
Yeah, I mean, my only must start in this game for that side, for the Minnesota side, is Hawkinson. I think like Addison is a decent wide receiver too, kind of more of a flex play though. KJ is a desperation. Even Madison, the inefficiency of Madison against this defense, I don't really want to start him.
It's a have to start versus can start.
Yeah, he's more of a desperation start in this week just because it's just not good vibes. I would not be starting Kirk Cousins.
No, don't do it. In fact, that's my little myself must, can, or don't.
Yeah.
So you picked it already.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of was preemptive there, but
all good. It works out. So you're picking San Francisco. The thing is, it's hard for me to pick this game not knowing who's going to be in and who's going to not be in. Can I pick this game with a caveat, or am I held to my pick no matter what? Because I'm hovering over an upset here, but it's really dependent on basically if they're out all these guys.
I'm gonna take 49ers no matter what. You do what you want.
See, it's like it's.
Who are you gonna pick today? And then we'll address it. Like if you text me like on Monday and be like, I'm gonna switch my pick, we'll honor that. We'll talk about it next episode. How about that?
Give me Minnesota at home. I think San Fran goes on like a low-key little 2-game skid here. People start to panic. It's not going to be a reason to panic. But I think that if McCaffrey and Trent Williams are on the shelf, I think that the offensive machine sputters and Minnesota finds a way to shock them.
Okay. Fair enough. That'll be an interesting game. We'll have to see what those big injuries amount to. Paul, did you prepare some of our world famous, not very accurate guarantees? I got Christian Kirk last week.
Yeah.
And I was about like a freaking, I don't know, an ant's dick away from Latavius Murray as he gets tripped up on his way into the end zone and like barely misses it. But
yeah, I guess
Damian Harrison got knocked out of the game, so he had no.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I was gonna say that like Dame Harris was not a good pick for a guarantee, but I'm just glad he's like alive and okay.
Yeah,
that's really it.
Did you hit on any of yours? No. Okay.
Because I slopped them together, but I am prepared with my guarantees this time.
Sweet.
And since I think that we've set the precedent that guarantees can be a little chalkier than what I had understood. I went with some chalkier guys.
Sure.
Do you want to start or should I start?
You start with your running back.
Jaylen Warren. We talked about him earlier. I think Najee's not going to go away completely, but I think this is the first week of Jaylen Warren owning the backfield, and he's going to do it, and he's going to score one time. Only once.
I would absolutely love to see that. But I'd still feel like, man, if anyone's going to score, if any running backs can score, it's going to be a Najee just because he's got to be a troll.
He's the power back. No power.
Yeah, he's not. He's just a big guy. Okay. So I think you'll like my guaranteed from the running back spot. And it might come as a bit of a surprise based on the matchup. But third time's the charm. Jonathan Taylor gets in the end zone. Now, I'm not projecting a good game, like maybe 60 total yards combined. But I think he's going to score this week.
I love it. By the way, we didn't talk about it too much, but like the numbers bared it out. JT was on the field.
He's rising. Yeah.
Pretty much split with Zach Moss last week. It's happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
My wide receiver, Christian Watson, is going to burn this Denver secondary for at least one, if not two.
I hope you're right. I need him in a big way this week. I like that pick. That makes a lot of sense. The matchup makes sense. Okay. I have got Brandon Ayuk. He actually hasn't scored since week 1 when he had 2 touchdowns. I think this is a good matchup for it. I think that Debo is going to be not his normal self.
And you're kind of cherry picking the consolidation there, but it does make sense.
Yeah. For sure. I think this is a week that Brandon Ayuk scores.
Okay. I think we actually have some good guarantees this week. My tight end guarantee is really based on nothing but just stupidity and vibes. I think Michael Mayer's going to score because it's spooky season now.
Yeah, you can play the music.
That's right. If it hits, let's play the music next week.
Yeah. Who would that be? I always forget which one. I know Michael Mayer is Friday the 13th.
He was
right?
Friday the 13th. Yeah, which it's like, I know I'm late. Like I really should have like done this bit last week, but it's fine. We'll move forward.
Yeah. What is that who Alice Cooper's singing about in Oh Buddy's Back? I think it is The Man Behind the Mask.
Oh yeah.
Pretty sure he's talking about Michael Myers.
Or is it Jason?
I don't know.
All these 80s slasher movies could kind of blend together. But this is a fantasy football podcast. We can reminisce about.
We're allowed to talk about it
some other time.
End of the show. Nobody's watching. So my guarantee, you better fucking do it, dude. Darren Waller, score a goddamn motherfucking touchdown. Against
his first of the year.
Yeah. Would be nice. That would mean that the Giants would score an offensive touchdown, which would be cool.
Remember when I was remember in the preseason when I was all hyped about the late Daniel Jones and Darren Waller stack in fantasy?
Yeah,
you remember that?
You and like pretty much everybody else.
Seems like a long time ago.
It's been a shame. It's been a shameful performance from them. All right, man. Time for your performance, sir. Are you ready?
Let me get some water.
See, you're drinking some bubbly over there.
Oh, you know it. All right. In this week's home team hustle, we had 5 matchups and 5 sad boys. And I'm going to run them all down for you, one by one. In the first matchup, Taylor and Travis sitting in a tree. WINNING. Kelsey and the Chiefs got the party started Thursday, and PK cruised over 115 to 95. In the second matchup, Jeremy is silent in the chat, but his team is still making noise in the field. Reese and the bros took care of business, leaving Kaysen praying to the sun god for the sweet release of fantasy death, 110 to 86, for his second and back-to-back chug. I got a feeling that it's gonna be a long season for Miro. Chris falls to Goose and 6 on the season. LJ picks up another win, but drops 2 RBs in the process. You better spend that fab, baby. 122 to 103. In the most brutal beat in our league, Drewski takes another devastating blow to his dwindling playoff hopes. It was a back-and-forth battle that came down to Monday night and a man named Keenan. Andrew said, here it goes. In the fourth quarter, watching the dagger to send him to 1-5 on a fractional loss, 107 to 106. And the last matchup, our good friend, Mr. BJ. That week number 1 on the week score feels like a long time ago. Not even the cheetah's speed could help BJ escape and outrun his 5th straight loss as Bobby dispatches him easily behind Raheem the Dream and his beloved Jags, 123 to 102. Those were the matchups. Those were the breaks. Keep it rolling, bros.
Ding, ding, ding. And it's a knockout for Kaysen. It's a knockout for me. It's a knockout for Miro. We're all in a lot of pain. And, I basically wanted to douse myself in orange soda after Keenan made me feel a lot like Kel.
I was hoping you would get that deep cut. I was like, I don't know if that joke's gonna play in like the Randy Savage wannabe voice, but I'm glad. I'm glad you got it. I tried to do that for you.
I don't miss a Keenan old school Nickelodeon.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Them
take
were
care.
the days. Well,
All right, brother.
If you're still around, we love you. Smash that like. Drop our drop those takes in the comments. If you think I'm wrong about my Minnesota take, probably. Let us fucking know.
Like, subscribe, share, do all the fun stuff, please. Like to be able to reach more people if possible. And thank you all. Never give up. Trust your instincts. Peace out, y'all.
Adios.